All right, so get this. Everybody knows Bollywood, right?
Yeah.
Well, turns out South Indian cinema is like totally blowing it out of the water.
Really?
Yeah, at the box office. I mean, we're talking billion-dollar upsets here, not just like a little competition.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, you sent over like a ton of articles and research on this, so let's dive in.
Okay, yeah.
See what's going on.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like there's a real shift happening, and it's not even just about, like, people's regional taste.
Right.
This is about what audiences really connect with, like, deep down.
Yeah, okay. So like the first thing that jumps out from like all this stuff is that South Indian films are like laser focused on telling stories that are really rooted in their culture and setting.
Yeah.
And the articles keep calling this like rooted, not booted.
Okay.
Which I thought was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me think about that film Pushpa, The Rise.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, great example of what we're talking
Yeah.
about. Okay, yeah.
Pushpa is about sandalwood smuggling.
Right.
But it's so much more than just like an action movie, you know?
Yeah.
It dives deep into the specific world
Yeah.
of the Rayalaseema region of Andhra Pradesh, like the language, the customs, even like how the characters talk to each other.
It feels so real, right?
Yeah, totally.
It feels so lived in, like you can almost like smell the sandalwood
Exactly.
and feel the dirt under your fingernails.
And that's a huge part of why it was such a hit with audiences.
Yeah.
They saw their culture, their stories
Right.
reflected back at them on the screen.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between reading a travel brochure
Right?
and actually like going to a place.
Okay, so imagine like some big Bollywood studio gets a hold of this story.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think happens?
Oh, they would totally sanitize it,
Right.
Make it more, quote unquote, palatable for like everyone.
Right, for a wider audience.
Yeah.
They'd probably set it in Goa.
Right. Make the main guy like a, tech entrepreneur
Right.
who like dabbles in sandalwood smuggling on the side.
Uh-huh.
And then like, throw in a couple random dance numbers.
Of course, it's got to have those dance numbers.
Gotta have them.
So it's like sandalwood smuggling tech bro in Goa.
Right.
It just loses all the grit
Exactly.
and authenticity.
Yeah, you lose the whole point.
It's almost comical.
Yeah, it goes to show that sometimes,
Yeah.
trying to appeal to like absolutely everybody can backfire.
Yeah, you end up appealing to nobody.
Exactly.
And that brings us to our next point,
Okay.
which is about how South Indian film industries,
Uh-huh.
they seem to have like a much more efficient way of making movies.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're making decisions quicker, less bureaucracy.
Right.
It seems like the filmmakers just have a lot more creative control.
Totally. It's about agility and trust.
Okay.
Like these articles talk about
Yeah.
how South Indian filmmakers are able to like respond to trends and like get their films made while ideas are still fresh,
There's that one story about that Canada director, Hemant Rao.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, he was pitching this film
Yeah.
to a South Indian producer, and like halfway through the meeting,
You gotta guess.
got the green light. Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's very different from Bollywood.
Right.
Like this Tamil director, C. Prem Kumar,
Yeah.
he waited like 6 months to get feedback on a pitch,
Wow.
only to find out that he was talking to like a totally different executive
Oh.
who was pretending to be the original person he pitched to.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so like,
That's terrible.
in Bollywood, it's a lot of committees forming committees.
Mm.
Everyone has to weigh in.
Yeah.
And it can really slow things down.
And stifle creativity,
Totally.
which maybe explains why some people feel like Bollywood films are just kind of
Yeah.
stale,
Yeah.
like they're just following a formula.
Right. They're not taking risks.
Yeah.
When you have too many people trying to control the story,
Yeah.
it can lose its smark.
Right. Okay, so speaking of like too many cooks in the kitchen,
Uh-huh.
let's talk about notes.
Okay.
This was something that the articles were like pretty blunt about.
Yeah.
It seems like South Indian filmmakers, they really value the writer's vision.
Uh-huh.
Whereas Bollywood is kind of notorious for giving excessive and sometimes just like nonsensical feedback.
It's like the difference between, constructive criticism and a creative autopsy.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
There was this great analogy in one of the articles.
Okay.
Imagine S.S. Rajamouli,
Yeah.
the director of RRR.
Of course. Yeah.
He's getting notes from like some film student who doesn't even understand what the title means.
Right.
Like how ridiculous is that?
It is pretty absurd.
But it just shows like you have all these people who have no business giving feedback.
Yeah.
They're meddling in the creative process.
Yeah. Are these notes actually helpful?
Right.
Or are they just creating more noise
Yeah.
and diluting the original vision?
That's a really good question. It makes you wonder, like, how much of the feedback is actually about, like, improving the story?
Yeah.
And how much is just about controlling it or trying to fit it into some, like, preconceived box?
Totally. And that can lead to, generic films that don't really have their own voice.
So it sounds like giving filmmakers more creative freedom and, like, trusting their vision might be, like, a key ingredient.
It's definitely a factor. I mean, when you trust the artists you're working with, you're more likely to end up with something special.
Yeah.
You
Totally. Okay.
And speaking of trust, South Indian cinema is also doing a better job when it comes to casting.
Oh, yeah. The articles talked about that whole casting by Instagram thing. It's everywhere, especially in Bollywood.
Yeah, it's a bit sad to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, they think that just because someone has a bunch of followers, that makes them a good actor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, like, a good film needs actors who can really embody the characters,
Absolutely.
Bring depth and nuance to their roles.
Yeah. You need people who can act.
Yeah, and it seems like the South Indian film industries get that. Like, they're casting actors who are perfect for the roles.
Right.
Regardless of, how many followers they have.
Exactly. It's about finding the right person.
Right.
The actor who can truly bring that character to life.
Like in KGF, Yash is, like, perfect.
Oh, he's so good.
He just totally embodies that intensity and charisma.
Totally.
It's such a powerful performance.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anyone else in that role.
Right.
And I think it says something about, like, the power of authenticity.
Oh, yeah.
When you cast someone who really fits the role, the audience can feel it.
Yeah, it makes it more believable.
Yeah, it adds that extra layer of believability and emotional depth that you just can't fake.
It's like the difference between, like, wearing a costume and really inhabiting a character.
Yes. Have you ever seen, like, a movie or a show where you can just tell that they cast an influencer?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Like, just because...
Totally takes you right out of it.
Yeah, you're just like, oh.
Yeah, you're not watching a character. You're watching someone, perform.
It's so distracting.
It makes you wonder if it's really worth it.
Right.
Like, are they sacrificing quality just for a little bit of buzz?
Yeah, okay.
Which brings us to our last point.
Okay.
Pan-India. Panic India.
Right. The articles mentioned that it seems like Bollywood is always trying to appeal to everyone. So they, like, water down all the cultural nuances and try to make their films as, like...
generic?
Yeah, generic as possible.
It's a marketing trap. They think by appealing to the biggest possible audience, they'll make more money.
But it usually backfires.
Right. By trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
You end up being nothing to anyone.
Exactly. It's like you're trying to make a dish that appeals to every single palate. You just end up with something bland and boring.
Exactly. Like, imagine if a Bollywood studio today tried to remake Lagan.
Oh, God.
They'd probably put, like, a Punjabi rapper on the cricket team.
They totally would, just to...
to appeal to more people.
Yeah, appeal to a wider audience.
Yeah.
But it's so dumb.
It is funny, though. It shows how absurd it is to, like, sacrifice what makes a film unique just to try to get more people to watch it.
And this isn't just in film, right?
Well,
this is, like...
this is everywhere.
Any industry.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like a brand or a product was trying so hard?
Oh, all the time.
To be everything to everyone that it just lost its, like...
its identity.
Yeah, its identity.
I see it all the time.
It's like they're afraid to take a stand.
Yeah.
To be bold, to be different.
And in a world with, like, so much content, so many choices, you gotta be different. You gotta be authentic.
So what's the takeaway here?
I think it's a reminder that you gotta stay true to your vision.
Okay.
Embrace what makes you unique.
Yeah.
And focus on quality.
Instead of chasing trends.
Exactly.
About trusting your gut.
Yeah.
Trusting the people you work with.
Your collaborators.
Yeah, and trusting your audience.
And remembering that, like, the best stories are the ones that are specific. The ones that are rooted in a particular place and culture.
It's about telling stories that connect with people.
Yeah, that resonate.
Yeah, and that's something we can all do.
Absolutely.
No matter what we do.
Regardless of your field.
Right. It's funny. We talk so much about algorithms and analytics these days.
Yeah.
But, like, sometimes we forget that the most powerful stories are the ones that, like, come from the heart. You know, the ones that
Right.
connect with us, like, on a human level?
You can have all the data and, like, all the best marketing strategies in the world,
Right.
but if the story's not genuine,
Mm.
if it doesn't connect with people's emotions,
Right.
it's not going to last.
Yeah. And speaking of things that resonate,
Okay.
the articles talked about another big difference between Bollywood
Mm-hmm.
and South Indian films,
Yeah.
the way they treat writers.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it seems like in South Indian, cinema writers are treated as, like,
Yeah.
valued collaborators.
Yeah. Like a real part of the process.
Yeah, an integral part of the creative process.
Uh-huh.
Whereas in Bollywood, they're often seen as,
Yeah.
well, kind of expendable.
There's a quote from a Malayalam director, Christo Tummy.
Okay.
He said, "Here, writers are partners. They're afterthoughts,"
Wow.
which I thought was pretty telling.
Yeah, that really sums it up.
Yeah.
It makes you think, like, does that difference in respect for the writer affect the quality of the films?
I mean, it has to, right?
Yeah.
When writers feel respected and
Yeah.
empowered,
Uh-huh.
they're going to take more risks,
Right.
push the boundaries a little bit,
Yeah.
create something really unique and compelling.
So what do you think the future holds?
Hmm.
Is Bollywood gonna, like, learn from this?
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
One thing's for sure, though. South Indian cinema has shown everybody that
Yeah.
there is a huge audience
Right.
for these kinds of stories.
Yeah.
Stories that are authentic, well told,
Mhm.
and rooted in a particular place and culture.
Yeah, it's a wake-up call for anyone who creates content.
Absolutely.
Anyone who tells stories, anyone who builds brands.
Authenticity matters.
Yeah.
You know, stay true to your vision.
Right.
Trust the people you're working with.
And you can get incredible results.
Exactly.
Sometimes the best way to reach a lot of people
Yeah.
is to just focus on telling one really powerful story
Right.
that connects on a deeper level.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Depth over breadth.
Maybe Bollywood will surprise us.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because when Bollywood's good, it's really good.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
Me too. It's been fascinating exploring Indian cinema and thinking about the power of authentic storytelling.
It leaves us with one final thought to ponder.
Okay.
What other industries could benefit from this kind of approach?
That's a good question.
Like, could focusing on authenticity and good storytelling be the key to standing out
I think so.
in a crowded market?
I mean, look at what's happening with South Indian films.
Right.
It's definitely worth exploring.
Yeah.
Maybe these lessons from cinema can inspire us to be,
Yeah.
bolder, more creative, more genuine.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note,
Okay.
we're going to wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us.